Our local woods is haunted by fairies. Don't laugh. These things are a real problem. They attack innocent dog walkers, they eat people's picnics, and they've even been known to steal the occasional child. So I'm doing my bit for the community. We're going to make a sign to warn people of the dangers. First, I spoke to my art department to see if they could come up with some concept art. I often disagree with my creative director, but HR usually intervenes before there are any real problems. Some brilliant work here. Definitely going to consider giving the team a bonus this year. There's really only one tool of choice for this project, and that's my Aeon CO2 Laser. I absolutely love this machine. Ignoring all the money it helps me make on Etsy and craft fairs, it's brilliant for last minute projects like this where I need something fast. And this particular model, the Mira 5S Redline, can cut stuff at 500 by 300 millimeters, which should be more than enough to cover a decent sign. Right, first we need a backer board to put everything onto. I love upcycling, so I'm going to use some old pallet wood that I had kicking around. I jointed the edges with my hand plane and did a glue up on my wall mounted panel clamps. These are brilliant, by the way, for panel glue ups, because they don't take a lot of room on my workbench while I'm waiting for glue to dry. Now I'll pop a link in the video description as to where you can get them too. When it was dry and the glue all set, I sanded off any residual bits of wood glue and gave the panel a white coat of paint just so it can contrast with the lettering. Right, let's get a design into lightburn. There's a lot of text here, so it could be a bit tricky to stick it all down if I cut out individual letters. So I could maybe use a template to help me align everything, but honestly, this is a quick project, so I'm just going to engrave most of the text. The big letters, however, I'll slap on some masking tape so it can be spray painted red. The fairy was appropriately vectorized from my daughter's drawings. I used a combination of her designs with a little bit of modification so it can be cut out nicely into something recognizable. Obviously, you can use your preferred drawing package like Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape, but Lightburn covers the basics. I'm going to cut all the fairy parts out of 3mm laser ply, as it's cheap and really easy to paint. The cutting doesn't take too long as this machine is fast. It's just a 60-watt tube in here, but it can easily cut out at 200mm per second. I can actually move the laser as fast as 1200mm per second, which is amazingly fast, but I do need to slow down here a little bit to do the actual cutting. And while it cuts, a bit of Yeats, why not? Where dips the rocky highland of Sloof Wood in the lake? There lies a leafy island where flapping herons wake. The drowsy water rats where we've hid our fairy vats, full of berries and of the reddest stolen cherries. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glencar, in pools among the rushes that scarce could bathe a star, we seek for slumbering trout and whispering in their ears. Give them unquiet dreams leaning softly out from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Away with us he's going, the solemn-eyed. He'll hear no more the lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, or the kettle on the hob sing peace into his breast, or see the brown mice bob round and round the oatmeal chest. For he comes, the human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world is more full of weeping than he can understand. Absolutely beautiful, so much better than my usual poetry like Milk Lemonade. Now let's get everything onto the board. The big letters I kept the masking tape on and weeded out the text. The exposed areas were blasted with some red spray paint, and then once dry everything was peeled off. I didn't want to carry a big pole into the woods or make too much noise with power tools for fear of annoying the fairies, so I found an existing post to pop the sign onto. I quickly measured it I made a little bracket that meant it could just slot into place. The ferry parts were painted with acrylic paint and then glued into place, and I think this really pops nicely with the different layers. Now I added a few light coats of spray lacquer to the final piece just to weatherproof it a little bit, and then I left it to dry overnight. Right, it's long past April 1st, which I believe is the traditional day of mischievous ferries, so let's get this thing installed pronto. We're a little bit late here. Splendid! Now all the locals will be warned about the ferry blight that plagues our woods. So there we go, you can see how you can take any idea, no matter how silly, and make it reality with a good laser cutter, and Aeon's machines are pretty nice. And there's a 5% off discount if you use the code Woodgineer, I'll pop it below. And remember, stay safe out there in the woods.
There's a ferry rider!